What is going on, all you GBA type people? This is Tom. I'm here bringing you guys my very late Week 3 match. Because of how late it is, I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible because I know that obviously the Week 3 was uploaded last week. Unfortunately, I have had a lot on my plate, which I'll go into briefly about what's been going on. But I wasn't really able to play Aster until very, very late into the week of our uploads, basically. Additionally, in my personal life, I've been trying to become a full-time police officer for quite a while now. I've had two very important interviews the week of playing Aster, and my focus and all of my attention in week 3 and in week 4 has been to trying to ace those interviews, which I actually ended up doing. I passed one with flying colors, ended up proceeding into the background investigation, and then another one where I also succeeded. So not gonna lie, the GBA and otherwise prepping has been kind of like a secondary, even a tertiary concern of mine between working and prepping for these interviews, and obviously succeeding, which is something I want to do, and it's kind of my primary goal for a very long time now. So when it came to prepping for Aster, this team that you guys will see on your screen right about now went through a lot of different changes. A lot of different people got their hands in it, and there was a lot of, various issues about exactly how this whole team got manifested and how otherwise it was put together. So the first mon we have is Mega Lucario, and it's going to be a 4-attack set. It was initially a Sword Dance set, but it kind of flip-flopped between Weavile and Mega Lucario being those mons. Aster's team, what he is accessible to before I go into this, is his team is Mega Mawile, Lunala, Tornadus T, Rotom Wash, Nidoqueen, T-Tar, Reuniclus, Cobalion, Salamence, Licky Licky, and Stoutland. His Z users are Tornadus T and Cobalion. So looking at his team, yes, Swords Dance Mega Lucario could have been very effective. However, I thought looking at the vast majority of his team, there weren't many options that he would reasonably bring that would allow me to use Mega Lucario and otherwise be able to Swords Dance. So I really didn't bother. Also, like, his team just, yes, it got beaten down a lot by Mega Lucario, but it was a little bit difficult to set up a Swords Dance. So Weavile became the Swords Dance user. It was a 3 attacks, knockoff, Icicle Crash, low kick with Life Orb set. Both these things are basically just meant to break and otherwise punish a lot of his mons. Additionally, we have Scarf Coco, which in hindsight wasn't really the best bring. I believe this thing was able to outpace Tornadus. The Lucario was set to outpace Cobalion, and then Weavile was set to outpace, I believe, also Tornadus, if I'm correct. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea there. Also, the Coco set was set to outpace, even in Sand, a Stoutland with Sand Rush. So T-Bulk, Dazzling Gleam, HP Ice, and U-Turn was a good set, but, after using Nidoqueen from last season, a Scarf set doesn't really beat Nidoqueen, so this set was kind of moot. Next up, we have a Earthquake, U-Turn, Roost, Stealth Rock, Gliscor set. This, I believe, was my best check to Tornadus and stuff, just because that was kind of a big issue. I know it could have Ice Beam, I know it could have Ice Punch. The thing is not defensive or special defensive, but it was kind of there to do its best to otherwise be a solid check. So, do what I had to do. Next up, we have a Chardy Araquanid set. Now, this wasn't here specifically for anything necessarily. It just was kind of a good bring. Otherwise, that we had, I think, Whimsicott and Cloyster in the original build. Cloyster was some spike set, but it got taken advantage of or otherwise killed or switched into and pressured to be switched out, which gave him initiative, and I didn't want to really do that with a lot of the sets that I was bringing. Then I had a Whimsicott set. It was like some Encore fucking Subseed set, and the issue I had with that is that it did draw in Nidoqueen, which I had very, very, very few switches into. Whether or not it was Scarfed, and then even also Tornadus could probably take advantage of that Whimsicott set with Regenerator and stuff like that, and it being bulky. So I really didn't bother. So instead I went with like a slower Araquanid set, Chardy Berry, and then Sticky Webs. If I get Webs up, it's faster than Tyranitar. Liquidation across the vast majority of his team besides Rotom would do a lot of damage. Leech Life I could use if I'm facing like Tyranitar or I'm facing Rotom. I can get off some solid damage. And also this thing was bulky enough to be able to take hits very adequately. Just being naturally Spadef and having a lot of attacks to be able to 2-hit KO necessarily things, and having the Chardy to take a Stone Edge, Lunge was there over, I believe, Infestation, because a lot of the mons that will be taking the Infestation damage either will be able to heal it off or otherwise not really care. So Lunge was there to kind of stop potential like sword stance, but no sub make them all wild from setting up. And Sticky Webs would just been nice to pressure him to defog away a lot of anything that he would try and set up. Finally, we have Assault Vest Drapion. This is my main check to Lunala. As you guys are aware from the draft and otherwise a lot of the analyses, my team sucks all the dick at covering ghost types. So I brought both my dark types to be able to cover and otherwise try and take on Lunala. Assault Vest Drapion was kind of the best answer here, mostly because I can Pursuit Trap it. If he's not Cobra, I knock it out. If he is Cobra, I can do some pretty solid damage, break the Shadow Scale or Shadow Shield, and otherwise kind of cripple it. Knockoff is there because a lot of things really like their item, like Torn and Rotom and all that, and I can knock off those items. Earthquake and Ice Fang there for coverage. Ice Fang's for Torn. Earthquake is for Nidoqueen. So that's kind of the idea between the whole team I brought and team he brought. We see that he brings Tornadus T, Rotom, Mega Mawile, Tyranitar, Lunala, and Nidoqueen. A lot of the things I did expect. I mean, I sort of expect to see Stoutland there over something like Nidoqueen, but or even, I don't know, like Torn. But even, I mean, Torn is great for him. Build of his team is very solid, so we'll see how I'm able to kind of take on his team. I know Weavile's a win con. I know that Drapion is necessary to take on Lunala. Araquanid could do some pretty good damage, and then Lucario can there just bust up a lot of things if I end up, getting damage or putting Mega Mawile into a KO range. So we'll start off this match. Now I went down pretty much the timer, going back and forth between what exactly I wanted to lead with. It was either Coco, because I don't think he was only off Nidoqueen. It was only off like Torn or Rotom, or even Tyranitar, or I was going to lead off with Gliscor. Now, I ended up leading off with Gliscor because I went back and forth, which I really shouldn't be doing, because obviously I know the sets that I want to bring. I know what I have. I have the idea of something that I bring something for a reason. I want to know it works for a reason, and I want to commit to that. So going back and forth wasn't really the greatest idea. So, but if he went for Supersonic Sky Strike there, he would have knocked me out pretty much with the Z Hurricane versus going for U-turn. So I ended up clicking U-turn because there really isn't much I can do. I wasn't gonna click Ice Fang if I'm noticing there's I'm sorry, I didn't have anything to touch him, and there's no reason to get up rocks when he has a Rotom that could probably defog without really an issue. Now right here again, I'm putting to like a 50-50 where I could either Scarf U-turn out or click T-Bolt. He was willing to give me damage on Rotom, I guess, so we could Pain Split later. So I just fucking clicked U-turn. I clicked T-Bolt there and got either killed the Rotom based on its SPDF or an HP investment, or otherwise gotten off a lot of damage that if I had gotten rocks up, he maybe would have been dead. So instead, Araquanid takes damage because I really didn't want to go out to Mega Lucario, and then, I didn't want him to, be cheeky and click fucking Ice Beam or Hydro Pump there and, like, knock out Gliscor. So it really wasn't something there I was interested in. Now I'm just going to stay in right here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to stay in with Araquanid as he goes into his Mega Mawile. He gets the Intimidate off, but I'm just going to stay in and click Liquidation because I really don't want this thing to get up behind a sub or set up a Sword Stance for free. I click Liquidation. He clicks Play Rough, which he is faster, and we see that does nothing because it misses. And I go for Liquidation. I get the -1 defense drop. He goes Play Rough again and does nothing because he misses, which is really unfortunate, really, really upsetting, I guess, for Aster, which I felt bad because my objective obviously is not to hacks him, even though I am the San Jose Sharpedos, and but I click Liquidation from my calc, which was kind of fucking stupid, but I saw that Play Rough I could live based on my defense investment and my HP, which I don't know why, but Mega Mawile doesn't have huge power calced into its actual set, which I think is fucking odd. So I end up I knock it out I get it down really low with 2 Liquidations, with pretty much, I mean, it kept me in the game, is what I'm going to say, because here's the thing. I had very few switches into Mawile, and by few I mean none. So I end up getting it down really low to the point where I really didn't have to worry about it in the late game, which I guess kind of sucked for Aster, but I mean, I don't like doing that, but I know Aster is a good friend of mine and someone who I don't really intend on and want to hacks, so I felt bad for that, but I go into Lucario. I don't have any reason to click Close Combat, and I really don't have any reason to click Ice Punch, so I could have, because I figured he was going to switch, but I know he could have just switched out anyway and got back the Regenerate HP from, again, on Tornadus. So I click Bullet Punch, and I'm going to switch out in the case that he tries to go for Supersonic Sky Strike here as I go out into Tapu Koko. And what it ends up doing is ends up U-turning out. And this kind of, continues putting momentum in his favor because I believe that he really did know how to play me. Aster and I have gone back and forth in terms of how we have played each other, and we've had a very good match last season where, he and I went down pretty much to 1-0 with the Mega. He had Mega Lop, and I had like the Masharna set, and I had the subs Pain Split Rotom set that pretty much took on his Mudsdale, which was cool. So that being said, he knows how I play, so he was taking advantage of that, and obviously you can kind of tell. And I end up pivoting out against his Lunala to try and get in my Drapion here, as I expected him to go for an attack, not go for Will-O-Wisp. So this ends up crippling my Drapion, but I know that with Pursuit, I could probably get off about 40% still through the Shadow Shield with a Pursuit, which is what I'm going to end up doing as he tries to switch out. But we end up seeing the Colbur, plus that I'm burned, which means that this Pursuit does like actual dog shit. So the whole idea that I had with this Drapion goes way out the window. And that was a little upsetting because like I didn't really know. Like I thought I had 2 mocks for this match that were very crammed. Otherwise, they were just kind of like matches. And seeing how Aster prepped and otherwise just crippled my 1 Dark type with the Will-O-Wisp, and knowing now that Weavile can't, if he's at Shadow Shield, I can't break him with a knockoff, and if he clicks Will-O-Wisp, he cripples my second, Dark type. But I mean, I was just like, what do I do now? So what I end up doing is I go back into Drapion as he goes into his Tornadus, and he goes for Supersonic Sky Strike, which I take because I am a Assault Vest, which was kind of the point of this Drapion. And I go for Ice Fang and I freeze him. And this was also, not fair to Aster because now he's missed 2 play roughs, he's gotten 2 defense drops from Liquidation, and now he has a Frozen Tornadus, which is putting me in a driver's seat that I really don't deserve to be in. I hard switch out into my Tapu Koko because I figure if he's going to Thaw, he's going to go for U-turn. That means I can get Koko in, and I could probably click T-Bolt here, which is what I should have fucking done, which I end up clicking HP Ice for a stupid reason. Whereas if I click T-Bolt, and knowing that Lunala's Shadow Shield was broken, I probably could have at least gotten more damage onto this, which probably could have knocked it down to about a 35-40% range, which either would have been a roll, or he would just pivot it out into his Nidoqueen. I could have taken advantage of that and doubled out into something like Weavile. But again, that's neither here nor there because that didn't happen. I am hard switching out into Drapion as that HP Ice does nothing. And I also at this point I realized that Scarf Koko is not an answer to take on the Nidoqueen. So my objective here is to just keep clicking knockoff to keep him out of Shadow Shield range. And this is when he shows pretty much his entire set. We see he has Roost to stay in the Shadow Shield range. We see he has Will-O-Wisp to cripple the Dark types, which is concerning. And then we see that he clicks Trick Room. So he's roosting, kind of wasting his own Trick Room turns. And I haven't seen an attack yet. I don't know if it's Moonguy's Beam. I don't know if it's some coverage type. But all I'm doing here is clicking knockoff until I die or he knocks me out. So I'm going to keep clicking knockoff as he shows Ice Beam. Now in my mind I'm going, this is great. Wait, no it's not. Because Ice Beam, while it doesn't do that much damage to Weavile or Koko, Weavile is physical. And it really doesn't matter because he can burn it. So what I have to do here is kind of lure him into clicking Ice Beam. Take damage as I go for, again, fucking U-turn. This is why Scarf Koko was not a good idea. Again, I could have clicked T-Bolt here. It probably would have done maybe 35%. But, this was just, I guess it was just really dumb. And this is props to Aster for building in such a way that otherwise negates anything I could have tried to do. The best thing I did here was probably double out from the Gliscor into my Weavile to not only burn the last room of Trick Room, but maybe draw out the Ice Beam, which I know Aster is way smarter than that, which puts him back in the Shadow Shield. It gets Weavile in, which I'm now faster. If he wasn't in Shadow Shield, knockoff obviously would have obliterated him based on this damage, but he wasn't. I expect him just to burn me here and just kind of fucking cripple this thing too, but he goes for Trick Room, as I believe here I go for another knockoff, as he is going to, he's going to hard swap out. He's going to go out into his Mega Mawile, which was unfortunately, decided by the Hax gods that it wasn't meant to be long for this world, so I knock it out. So no MVP race buffering for Aster here, which that kind of sucked because of how high and how ahead Mega Mawile was in week 1 for just sweeping through. I believe it was Deathly's team in week 1. I'm unsure, but he goes into Tyranitar, and because I'm a dumb idiot, I keep in Weavile because I forgot Trick Room was up, and at this point I was just like, well, fuck me, because I mean, I have no information about the Nidoqueen. I don't know. I mean, at that point, yes, I probably could have gone into maybe Gliscor, but I mean, I've been faster. But then he would have went into Torn, and he would have had more chances to Thaw, and it just probably wouldn't have been great. I mean, throwing a Weavile like that was kind of stupid, because I could have possibly won in the late game, but that would have had to depend on how bulky Nidoqueen was, so I have no information about it yet, and then how I was able to end up getting a +2, if I was able to get +2, which probably would have been against Tornadus. So yeah, I could have won this match, like, you know, won using Weavile, but again, I was just so frazzled with how Aster built to the point that he was able to utilize the Lunala set to just cripple and stop all of my dark types, then using Trick Room to then initiate to allow T-Tar to knock out the Weavile. You know, just solid planning on his end, which I thought was just immaculate. So what I end up doing here is I dodge a fucking Hydro, which again, not fair to Aster. So I guess in a way I kind of deserve this for the way I you know, beat Nate. So he goes for Hydros, I go for T-Bolt. I get off a lot of damage. He gets to knock me out with Hydro Pump. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to end up going out into Mega Lucario. I end up clicking Bullet Punch. I'm skipping ahead because I want this match to be over. And stupid me, I click Bullet Punch like a jackass as he goes for Will-O-Wisp, and this kind of pretty much steals the game because now I'm going to knock out another Bullet Punch. If I click Close Combat there, I guess maybe it wouldn't have mattered because I maybe could have, you know, knocked... No, hold on. If I clicked Close Combat here, probably still would have knocked out the T-Tar through the Chople Berry based on all that damage that I just did, even burned. So he's going to knock me out here with an Earthquake. But what I think would have happened there instead, knowing that I wasn't burned, he probably would have gone out into Nidoqueen, outpaced me, because he ends up being Scarf, which is why I don't think anything I would have done would have mattered in the end. And basically then would have had Torn to thaw out because Gliscor had nothing to touch Tornadus. It was Earthquake, Roost, Stealth Rock, and U-Turn. So I had to U-Turn to death and hope that he didn't fucking knock me out with a Hurricane or get confused with me or whatever. And then he would have still had Scarf Queen in the back. So I really don't think it mattered. Because, I mean, yeah, Gliscor could have knocked out the Tyranitar based on the HP that I was at. But then Tornadus was still there to just be annoying and otherwise be able to take me on. And then, God, basically, I could have also just, you know, crit the hell out of him and U-turn as he would have missed 1,000 Hurricanes, and, you know, maybe I would have won that way, but it's not how I want to win. So he knocks me out there with Ice Beam. That's going to be the game, and I'm going to lose 2-0. I probably should have lost 4 or 5-0, but, you know, I said Cookie Crumbles, and unfortunately, the Hax God were in my favor and not Aster's favor. So GG to Aster. I think he won based on how he built his Lunala set and how well he knows me as a competitor. Now, I did listen to his side, and he did say that he doesn't like, because we talked after the match, and I just was not pleased with this team because I think there's holes, there's issues, and the way some of the matchups went just weren't really pretty. So, you know, he and I have been talking now and how we're going to build. Like, he's going to help me build, and, you know, I know that Aster's a good friend of mine, so how this battle went for him I don't like, because that's not how I like playing someone who I have a lot of respect for and who I enjoy competing against, and someone who's a good friend of mine. And you know what? Hey, I lost, and I should have lost more, but we'll take what we can get, right? So I end up falling to 1 and 2 after losing to Necro and Aster, so I'm behind in divisional rounds or my divisional matchups. And next week we end up having Deathly, who I just played, so we'll see how that match goes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try and narrate that now, because I'm not going to be home at all on Saturday, the day before the week 4 uploads. So, but I'm trying to get this matchup as soon as possible. So, that being said, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the match down below. I didn't watch anything related to the GBA this week because I thought this match was poo anyway. So, we're gonna try and pick up and beat Deathly Then we're going to try and also beat Nexus, who I know has been hot and cold. And then we also have Randy, I think, the week after that. So Randy's on a high horse. I need to fucking kick him off of that. So we'll see how it goes. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. Bye.